Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the Morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Parshas Mishpatim. This Chalak Aleph, this Shiur, and this whole week's Shiur is sponsored by the Wood Eisenberg, Zil Nishmas, Chaim Al Shalom Ben Shimon Yisrael Halevi Shiur. That the Neshama have an aliyah, and the discuss of our learning and our applying of the learning and our internalizing the messages, and the fact that it gets to be spread so far should be early on them, and then the Neshama should have the ultimate aliyah in the coming of Mashiach. So we're discussing, speaking about the Neshamas, we're discussing about being a person that's taking charge, Pikadin, someone that's in charge of keeping an eye on something, whether it's paid or whether it's free, and different things. And so we discussed yesterday, Tzemach Tzedek explains this whole idea, which is a whole sugya in Gemara. It's a whole long discussion in the Gemara, a lot of discussion about this. The Tzemach Tzedek explains, what does it mean by ruchnius? What does it mean for us spiritually? Meaning in our terms of our Vedas Hashem. This is just talking about a physical, someone watching a garment or an animal, and what happens if they lose it and if they stole it and things like this. It's very physical. You learn the Gemara, you learn someone that doesn't know Chassidus. It's a whole sugya, just stum. Chassidus teaches us that everything is coming from a spiritual place. So spiritually, how does this apply? That's what it explains. That basically, what is this that we're being given to watch? It's an neshama. And what happens when it gets destroyed a little bit? And or could be, Chas Hashem, someone comes and says, it got lost. So what do you mean when you get lost? How do you lose something? So in the Gemara and in Shiur, we're talking about these dollars that got lost. There's different ways of getting out of it. I mean, the question is like this: it gets lost or it gets stolen. What happens? And basically, based off the person's how much he got paid to do it, or what type of watchman is the person, that defines what they have to do, how much they have to pay, and what scenario do they not have to pay, how do they get out of it, things like that. Meaning, if a person's a free watchman, example, a free person that's free, say, can you watch for me? I'm just going to be whatever, 5 minutes, I'm going to store something. Then that person's requirements are very minimal. And so if it gets taken away, it gets lost or stolen or whatever, he's patur, doesn't have to pay anything. They don't have to do anything. And like you never paid me to take care of this. It's very simple. Whereas to pay the watchman, the only way they can get out of it, meaning they can't come and say, "Oh, I got lost. I lend you something. I said, can you keep an eye on? I found you a bottle of wine. Can I keep it by you?" And then you come back. "Oh, I got lost." "What do you mean you got lost? I paid you to keep an eye on it. It can't. What do you mean you got lost?" Whereas in the case if it was free, like you didn't get paid to do it, then you could say you just got lost and you're good. The only way you can get out of it if you're a paid watchman is that things on your control. Someone comes in, so you say, you don't understand what happened. Someone came in with a gun to my head, and I said, I'm going to take it, or I'm going to kill you. So the guy's on even though you paid him, he's not expected to give up his life for the bottle of wine. Whereas every other case, you have to pay back. If you come and you say, I just got lost, well, back's not broken, you have to pay. And this is sort of discussion in the Gemara. So you learn this for years. But here we're learning it's ruchnius. What is this that you're being given the neshama? We have a neshama to take care of. And we say, but the problem is, what happens? We say it got lost. So in the case we're talking about in the pasuk, and then we're talking about in the parasha here, is that a person says it got lost, or really he chapped it, he took it. So we're discussing this a little bit. So we're saying, since yesterday we're talking about there's different types of things that we're talking about. There's a shiur, there's a chamur, there's a sev, a salma, different types of animals or garments. And this is the different type of nefesh bahamis that is entrusted with the nefesh elokis. And that's the one that's saying, we got lost. We misplaced it. We don't know what happened to it. And this is essentially, it sounds funny, but this is sort of what's happening with us. That we have a nefesh elokis and something gets lost. We never hear it. We never hear from it. It's lost. Well, nefesh elokis talking last, I don't remember. Some people don't even know that nefesh elokis. And some people, we like Chassidim and us, and we're listening to the Shiur, we know there's Nefesh Elokis, so sometimes we never really hear it. And I don't even know when he's speaking. When Nefesh Elokis speaking, when Nefesh Muhammad speaking. And that's lost. To the extent that it says that like it says, Asher Yemar Ki Hu Zeh. So we're going to be medayik today. What does it mean Ki Hu Zeh? Because he is this. What does it mean he is this? Alhu Hareu Eimer Zeh. On he says this. So we're going to discuss what does it mean this. Talking about Hashem. Let's see. Zeh Muvano Hamiti. What is the true meaning of Zeh? This. Nasav Al Kedushas Velakus. When Zeh is this, what's this? What's the true this? We say this in the world, we mean godliness. That is this. That's true. You can't really say anything is this. Only really you can say it is by Hashem. Why? There's two reasons for this. One is simple meaning of zeh means zeh. This is it. This is what it is. What does that mean? I can't say this is what it really is. This is the truth of everything. It's this. What's this? This is God. Because a creation, us, creations, created beings, books, tables, things like this. This is not it. What is really everything? It's all godliness. That gives it and makes it exist. Talmid Mein Leish. Like the Rambam says, there's no true existence but Hashem. So when you say Zeh, this, what is this? It's not a book, it's a likus. It's not a microphone, it's a likus. It's not a computer, it's a likus. That's the true Zeh. That's the first reason why when we say Zeh, it really means God. And the second reason is Zeh, Hine Zeh, what it's hinting to, what it's meaning, behold this. If Shar is Leimar b'chol zman b'chol makim, which is something you can say all the time. This is only really by Hashem that something exists all the time. Because everything is limited, not always found, not everywhere. When you say Zeh, Hine Zeh, behold this, we can say everywhere. The only thing that is everywhere is the Eibishter. Therefore, you can't say Zeh on things. Yeah, you can say this thing, but he's saying in the truest form of it, not in the simple sense, but in the truest form of it. Shem Shemayim Shagu b'fi kol, and it's known that the Shem Shemayim, the name of Hashem, is on the mouths of everyone. We all talk about Hashem. Only by Hashem is we can say every place. Like it says, there's no place void of him, meaning there's nowhere that Hashem is not found. By Hashem, because he's everywhere, you can say Zeh. So essentially what we're saying is Zeh means Hashem. Now, Aval Mishum Ha'el Mehester, because of the concealment, Ala Nefesh Bahamis, Alul Aliyos, Achlifa, Lemar, Alhu Zeh. So what we're saying is that Zeh means godliness. But what can happen when you have the Nefesh Bahamis covering over the Nefesh Lekis, we don't realize the reality. The Nefesh Lekis is not the one making the decision in our lives. He's not talking, he's not speaking. We don't notice it. So what happens? We take he, something that it's not godliness, physicality, something physical, something mundane, something that's not going to last. And we say, Hu Zeh. What's Zeh really? Zeh means God. But we get confused when we say Hu Zeh. Like we learned in last week's Sikha, Rambam says in the Shemana Prakim, brought it down, I think it was Parak Shlishi, that when a person gets sick spiritually, he talks about being sick spiritually, which is very much like physically sick, and how to take care of it. You have to go to a doctor, get medicine, and things like this. And he explains that one of the things he says over there is that when you get sick spiritually, is that you say what's right is wrong, what's wrong is right. And this is sort of what we're saying here. You get confused, and you're saying what's true. This thing is what's true. And what's this thing? Something that's not going to last more than a few years. You know? And this is sort of what we're saying. And this is the concealment that happens on the Nefesh Bahamis, that the Nefesh Bahamis does in Nefesh Lekis. And remember, because we're talking about that we've been given a pikada and we're paid, we're watchmen. We have to watch something. What are we watching? Nefesh Elokis, the neshama. Hashem gives the neshama. Not just we have to watch it and take care of it. We have to bring it back even better. What happens? It gets lost. The Nefesh Bahamis takes over. We have different things, and they lose it, and that's a big problem. So now we're going to discuss what are the different types of Nefesh Bahamis a little bit, or more. What's the Nefesh Bahamis issue of our generation? Gimel. B'yech is a part of Dargas Nefesh Bahamis in regards to different levels of the Nefesh Bahamis, and Ichlalim b'pasuk, which is included in our pasuk, ba'arba sugim, 4 types. You have Shiur, Chamor, Sev, Salmo. You have an ox, you have a donkey, you have a sheep, and you have a salma clothing. Masbir, Chak Adma Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek explains, B'maimer Shemashma Usay Shel Shiur Hu Shiur Nagchan. He says, what's an ox? An ox is a goring. So in the Gemara talks about an ox an ox that goes 3 times. It's called mud, that it's bound to ox. But basically, an ox is known as a wild, intense animal. So what's a person that has a Nefesh Bahamis like a Shiur? Because remember, we're taking all this, what we learn in the Gemara and in Halacha and in Torah as a physical thing, and we're learning at the spiritual dynamics of it. So what's the Shiur? What's our ox? Some people are like an ox. They're rough. They're bulldozers, and they come in and they say things and they're rough around the edges. So that's a Shiur. So if someone's rough around the edges, you can say like he has a Shiur, he or she has a Shiur Nefesh Bahamis. And you have a Chamor. Chamor but kufas tammuz clearly. So it says that a chamor, a donkey, in the time of Tammuz, which is the warmest time of the year, it's cold. So a donkey is more a person that's very cold, could be apathetic, just like very dark, gloomy. So that's the cold nefesh bahamis. That's the nefesh bahamis of the donkey. So someone is always like cold and like very lifeless, very like like blah. So that you'd say, that's enough. You have a donkey nefesh bahamis. You wouldn't say it to them, but you gotta think about it. But ultimately, we think about ourselves. What type of nefesh bahamis do I have? Do I have a Shiur? Do I have a Chamor? Do I have a Salma, which is really its garments, clothing? What does that mean? Beged, Begdim, Bagdum. And it really means that it's concealment. I looked up in the pasuk. It talks about its concealment of godliness. V'seh, pazur Yisrael, and a sheep says pazur Yisrael. It's spread out, that the sheep are scattered in Israel. Also, I looked up in the pasuk. They're talking about it, that over there, that like the sheep, they're like just spread out, and it's like not in a good way. So now we're gonna discuss this thing. So the first thing we have to see is we have to look at ourselves, and I think and I've talked about this many times. And I think sort of this is the crux of everything, and that's why I really enjoyed these types of sichos, because we have to understand ourselves. This is ultimately the success in everything in life comes from understanding ourselves, and this is sort of what we're talking about today. We have to learn, who am I? What's my nefesh bahamis? What's my nefesh elokis? When are they talking? When is my nefesh elokis talking? When nefesh bahamis talking? What is my nefesh bahamis? What type of nefesh bahamis? We have to know ourselves, and it could be you have to speak to a friend, speak to my shpia. It doesn't have to be all on your own, but it's a very important thing to understand, to learn what it is. Even we have to guide ourselves from all these types of nefesh bahamis in shekain kol echad mehem alu lahavi lavidus hanefesh elokis. But all of these come to bring out, to lose the nefesh elokis. Because the whole point, remember, to be guided on nefesh elokis. So all these types of nefesh bahamis are the ones that are going to get rid of the nefesh elokis and hide it from us. Yesh b'chol, nevertheless, v'chol zman haklipa michedes la. Every time period, meaning every generation has its nefesh bahamis. There's the project nefesh bahamis that everyone has their own, but there's also a general one that we sort of a general issue that we deal with. And what's the general issue of adis? That's what we're going to discuss. And let's fight against this klippa together. We have to have the unity, but going against this specific issue. Like, what's the issue of the generation? Mishum kach, this akev, b'miyuchad al bir inyan shel seh. So because of this, we're going to talk about the sheep. So our issue is being a shepsel, being a sheep. That's Negeya to our generation. So tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to discuss the sheep issue. We all are sheepish. We have an aspect of sheepishness that happens in our generation more than other generations. And so Mitzvah Hashem, everyone throughout the day should notice when we make choices, where that choice is coming from. You can ask yourselves, which nefesh b'hamis am I? Which type of nefesh am I? Am I the shiur? Am I going my rough to people? Am I rough to myself? And of course, we don't have to have only one of them. We can have bits of all of them. But what's the dominant one? Am I shiur? Am I chamor? Am I cold? Am I pathetic? You know, I've not no fire, no passion, or am I a salma? What is it? To be continued tomorrow.